Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Rhonda here. And in this video, I just wanted to do a quick walkthrough of the new Ideogram 3.0. Not a lot has changed, but on the other hand, a lot has changed. All right. So I just want to go through this quick and just show you some of the new features that Ideogram 3.0 has, and also um, how much nicer the generations are in the newest version. All right. So we're going to start here at the top in our prompt box, because that looks a little bit different now. So we have our regular area here where we can enter our prompts. And then right here on the bottom left is the little toggle. So you can turn your generations from public to private. For the most part, I would imagine you're going to leave them private, but occasionally you might want to list some publicly for other people to use. Next is our aspect ratios, and you can choose from a bunch of different ones, and you can also do custom size aspect ratios. Typically, I use the 1 by 1 square unless I'm designing for a very particular item, and then I will use a different aspect ratio. After that, we now can choose our models right here, and we have 3.0, 2.0, 2A, and 1.0. And for each one of those, you can choose between Turbo, which is faster and uses less credits, Default, which is a little slower, a little more detail, and uses a few more credits, or Quality. The Quality is the slowest generation, and it also uses the most credits, but it will also be the most accurate and the most detailed. So it's up to you which one you use. I typically leave mine on turbo. And after our model, then we have magic prompt. And I typically leave this off. If you turn it on or put it on auto, Ideogram will typically add some extra stuff to your prompt to make it a little more detailed. It's up to you whether you use that. Next is our styles. And we have different styles here that we can choose from: automatic, random, general, realistic, and design. And if you hover over, it'll tell you what each one is best for. The best part about 3.0, though, is that we now have style references where we can upload images, so we can use style references so we can get things that look pretty similar to the images we've uploaded. So I'm going to upload those real quick, and I am just going to give it a pretty basic prompt. Cute little girl sitting on a log holding a sand bucket on the beach. Right? And we are going to, I'm going to turn this to quality just for this, and I'm going to generate. And we will see what it looks like. Alrighty, and here is our finished prompt. Now the little girl doesn't look quite the same, but the style of image is really similar. I would have had to have been a little bit more detailed, I believe, on my little girl to get her to look exactly like the one in my style reference. But my style is very similar, which is exactly what I was going for. All right, so you can add these style references, which is really, really nice now. And you can also enter a style code, which a lot of you may recognize from Midjourney and our style reference codes. Well, you can do the same thing now here in Ideogram. And that, to me, is probably the best improvement in 3.0, the ability to use these style reference codes. And I'll go over them just a little bit more in a few minutes. I wanted to go over how nicely the 3.0 version is compared to the earlier versions when it comes to image generation. So I have a prompt over here that I'm just going to grab, and I'm going to paste this in, and I am going to generate this on 3.0 Turbo. It is this little sewing basket that I've already generated below, but I'm going to do it again quick because I want to run this in each one of the different models so you can see the differences in them. Okay, this is 3.0 Turbo, and you see we've gotten quite a lot of detail here. The colors are absolutely gorgeous, and it looks fantastic. So I'm going to run this again, and this time I am going to run it in 2.0 Turbo, and then I'm going to run it in 2.A Turbo, and finally in 1.0. Okay, and we'll take a look at these. All right, and this is 2.0 right here, and you can see it did not give me my white background on this, and everything looks a little, I don't know, fuzzier. We're not quite as crisp. This one's not too bad, but it's also not as detailed either. Okay. And this one isn't too bad either. I like that one. And now this is 2A. 2A looks pretty good too, but my flowers are just kind of blobbish. And the same here. This one's not bad. And this one's not too bad. And then we have 1.0. And 1.0 is actually done a really good job with this particular image. And this is just a general like watercolor image. So you are going to get some pretty decent results no matter which model you use. Now, here's where we're going to start seeing our difference. Here is another prompt. Let me get rid of this one. Okay, and let me paste this in. And this is just a, it is a mug, a coffee mug, and it says mug life. So we're going to get our text in this one, and we're going to, this first one here is 1.0, and that doesn't look too bad. It really doesn't. The text might be a little wonky. It's spelled right though, so you can't complain. And then let's go to 2.A or 2A and generate it. But I think this is where 3.0 really shines in our typography style designs. And your text here is a little bit better, but I'm not a fan of the coffee mug in the 2A. All right. And then let's run this at 2.0. Okay, and here's 2.0, which again isn't bad at all. Not real sure about the some of the text I don't really care for. The mug is still kind of, this one's not bad, but then our text is behind the mug and you can't really see it. This one's okay too. And now let's run this in 3.0. And these are all being done in the turbo, so they are generating quickly. And now with 3.0, you can really see some difference here. The text is sharp and crisp. The mug looks really good. And again, all four of these came out really nice. It just excels at giving you the sharp text and the really good looking graphic to go with the typography in your designs. So I think this is where Ideogram 3.0 really excels, but it does great in all image generations, I think. But like I said, the best feature of this new model is by far the ability to add style reference codes, just like you have in Midjourney. And before we get into that a little bit more, let's just run through the rest of this prompt box here. We went over style. We have colors, which we've always had before. And then under the three little dots, you have your seed number and negative prompts. Unfortunately, for some reason, they did not include tiling in 3.0. You still have to use 1.0 if you want to use tiling, and that's disappointing. And you can upload an image to get a description. You can have it describe it, use it as a style reference, remix it, upscale, replace the background. But if we upload this and click describe, it's going to give us a really detailed prompt. And let's run that quick and see how closely it comes to generating what the image looked like that we uploaded. And I think that did a pretty darn good job. Honestly, that came out really nice. It's not exact, but it is very close. So you can do that now. You can, let's do this. Let's upload another one here and see how it does. Let's take this one, describe, and then run the image generation. And these are images I generated in Midjourney and Chrome, I believe. The little girl on the log is out of Chrome, and this little girl is from Midjourney. And I think that did an excellent job of describing that image and creating a prompt for it. That is really nice. All right, so let's go back to our discussion of style reference. That is the big one. Now, just like Midjourney, there's no way to, I can't click on this image and get a style reference code here. You see, it's a style and it just says design. It has a seed number, but there's no style code. In order to get your style codes, just like in Midjourney, you basically have to run a random request. So let's do a vintage truck sitting in a field of wildflowers. And for style, we're going to select random. And we're going to hit generate. And this is in 3.0 Turbo. And what it's going to do is give us 4 different completely random styles that it generated our truck in. And Ideogram says that they have, I believe it was 4.3 billion different styles into their platform. So you can sit here and run this over and over and over and get different styles every time. So I just ran this a couple times here, and you see everything is completely different. But you can look at these, and when you find a style that you like, when you click on the image, now down here in the lower right, you will have a style code. And you can copy that code and use it in different future generations. So let's say I like this right here. I'm going to click on the plus button, and that's going to use that. It put that style reference right up there. So now let's change this prompt from a vintage truck in a field of wildflowers to a blue jay sitting on a gnarled tree branch. Okay? And we will run that using the style reference from this image down here. And here we go. So now we get that same colorations, the same style of image, and we can use these codes over and over again. So what I like to do, and I do this for Midjourney as well, when I find a style I like, I'll copy that style, and I have a database here where I will save this style, and I will save a sample image of it, so I can reference these later and come back and use them again. Like this one here is super cool. So let me get rid of that. Let me come back over here, and in style code, let me paste, whoops. Let me paste our style code in and hit generate. Now, instead of getting this style that we took from this image down here, we are going to get this brightly colored style that we took from this saved image here. So these style reference codes, like I said, they work just like they do in Midjourney. They're going to give whatever image you generate the style that you reference, and I absolutely love this one. I think this looks fantastic. The bright colors. And you can do that, like I said, by running a random style, and when then you can open up the image, find the style code, and use that for another generation. So I like this style. Let's take a look at this one. We'll run this with the blue jay. See what we get here. And here we have another absolutely gorgeous image of the blue jay on the gnarled tree branch. And we brought in the style from this generation here. Okay, and let's do it one more. Let's try this one. Again, find your style code, enter it in here, and then you can generate your image, and it will use the code that you have given it. And here that is, and that looks just absolutely beautiful. You have the same type of lighting style, the same colorings and things of that nature. So these are really useful when you want particular styles, and you can start making a database of the styles that you like, just like I have, and you can save them for future use. And we're going to drag that image over here as a sample and save it. And I'll put a link in the description to my style database. Not that it is very large, obviously. I just started playing with this. Let's do this one with this red. See what it does here. But again, in order to find different styles, you just have to run the random style, and you'll get different images generated with the various style codes. So this looks pretty cool too. But now you have a understanding of how the style codes work in Ideogram 3.0. Very similar to the way they work in Midjourney, but I think this is probably the best addition to 3.0. I absolutely love it. It's going to be so much fun to use. So that's our quick walkthrough of Ideogram 3.0. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I'll answer them as soon as I can. And you guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.